Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 110-103 win against the Philadelphia 76ers, Riker. This was a phenomenal win for this team, put the small ball unit to the test against the bigs of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and all those. Dwight Howard, Boucher got his revenge tonight, but lots to break down. So, Riker, what are your thoughts on this massive win for the Toronto Raptors?
And should I break it out early? Are people calling for it early? The first time ever this season where the Walmart hat is not going towards the Toronto Raptors, but instead to Joel Embiid, who just shrivels into a little ball and cries whenever he sees the Toronto Raptors on the schedule. Then we got to break that down first, because obviously if you let this guy get 40, 50 points, 76ers are going to win every day. But they were able to clamp him down again with OG starting at the center.
Yeah, just a phenomenal performance of the Toronto Raptors. And yeah, you mentioned it. Joel Embiid is notoriously, he struggles against this Toronto Raptors team, but usually it was due to Marc Gasol's defensive heroics. And tonight, it was really a collective effort down there. And the Toronto Raptors, against everyone. Simmons did have himself a game. You got to give credit where credit's due. But the Raptors really just locked in on these guys and really forced the Sixers stars to take tough shots to get their games going in this one. And really, the Toronto Raptors, they took their blows. And this was the thing about this team earlier in the season, is they get hit by these good teams. And unlike Raptors of years past, they'd just sort of crumple into a little ball and just throw in the towel and throw out Alex Len and let Aaron Baines play, give him the ball a lot. But now they've came out, and Fred VanVleet's counterpunching, hitting a lot of threes. Chris Boucher is coming out looking like Steph Curry. This is just this game specifically. Pascal Siakam's making great decisions, whether the ball's going in or it's not. Who should we talk about first, Riker? Because so many guys stepped up in this game tonight.
To me, Chris Boucher was the star of this one, but this is a series where we saw in the last 2 minutes of the game, Fred VanVleet, he needs to be the facilitator, because this team is so big, and he didn't have a great series against them last time we played them in the playoffs. Yet today, he was able to, except for that last 2-3 minutes, he was able to get it done, Ben. Had one of the craziest shots I've ever seen, probably this season, if not ever. Just a wild one-footed bank shot. We're probably going to bring that back up again in the segments. But to me, this is Fred VanVleet's game, Ben. I don't know if you have a better sort of player, but to me, he gets my nod.
Yeah, Fred VanVleet, especially in the first half in this, really got us out of that first rut the Toronto Raptors were in. But then in the second half, Chris Boucher, as you mentioned, hit 5 threes, a career high 5 threes. And these were shots that are just staggering. The Sixers had a defensive style where they'd be, the Raptors run their pick and roll, they'd be hedging high, they'd be leaving our bigs just open from the three-point line. And we've sort of mentioned Chris Boucher. He's certainly been playing better as of late. He had a little sort of a trough there in his up and down season, but the three-point shots weren't really going in, even though he's been better lately. But tonight, he really was splashing them down. I think Matt Devlin mentioned that he's shooting 43% from the three-point line this season. That's pretty remarkable when you consider his percentages last year and what they were specifically in the bubble. But if he's knocking down threes, he's always confident. He's never afraid to let them fly out there. But when he's hitting them at that sort of level, then he's able to block those shots and finish in the paint. He's a perfect complement for Pascal Siakam, all these guys, just to really open up the floor. And the lineup of him and Baines, because Baines obviously struggled as a starter for this team, but he's been really solid in this role as a spot player, being able to put him up against the right matchups. And tonight, I thought he did a really good job against Joel Embiid. Yes, he missed a couple bunnies, and people will roast him for that, but he made a couple. He took some to the rim that were really decisive, a few really nice jams, and I think paired with his defense mobility, he wasn't fouling, he wasn't doing, for as good as Marc Gasol was against Joel Embiid, he'd always bite on those pump fakes. No one knows why, especially last season when Joel Embiid had no real jumper, but Baines did a good job of just getting a hand up, moving his feet. I don't know what you thought of the insurance pylon tonight, but certainly that insurance paid in.
That's my pylon for now. Actually, our video editor, our newly brought in video editor, is doing us up as we speak some cool segments to actually feature now when we talk about the Walmart hat and the insurance pylon. But then I agree, because Marc Gasol's vertical is all of probably 10 inches now, he's far past the prime of his career, and he's never been a good shot blocker because of his athleticism. It's always just good positioning. So I think Aaron Baines at least takes it a step farther, knowing he's not even a good positioning shot blocker. He just needs to stand in front of Joel Embiid. And what did he shoot tonight? 30% from the field. That's what you have to do. I think the Raptors would easily win a series against the 76ers in 5-6 games if they played the way that they did tonight. Now, let me ask you, what did they do? You know, they were down twice by 10, 20 points, 2 separate times, and they brought it back. I think the Raptors of last season, they wouldn't have the ability to surge back, and, you know, they just seem to be defeated and they stick in that rut. Whereas now, you know, they're having this big turnaround, and really they have to do it twice this game, Ben.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd necessarily say the Raptors of last season. That team was really good. And honestly, I think they're
the bubble Raptors of last season.
Well, even the bubble Raptors were fine. We were really one game away from being a finals team in both of our opinions. I think we both think we would have been able to take the Miami Heat, but certainly the Raptors of the past couple months. And I think it's just mature, like the team is getting more settled, they're more comfortable. We have a lot of people that sort of know their role at this point, and people are stepping up. Like tonight, Boucher stepped up from the knocking down those shots. Terrence Davis hit some timely buckets, and he's looking a lot more calm, making a lot better decisions on the court right now, hitting those threes, and had one really nasty dunk as well. So we're getting productivity in terms of scoring, because we've been a solid team in terms of playing transition, lockdown defense. We've done that this whole year. We've done that forever in this era of Raptors basketball. The issue, and we saw a bit of it against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Friday, was this team just struggles in the half court at times. So you really need players that can just get you buckets and get you out of a rut. Norman Powell's been that guy as of late, but obviously the Sixers with Thibault, Simmons, Harris is a big guy on the wing, but Danny Green, they have a lot of good wing defenders, and I think they've really locked in on Norman Powell. But then we had guys like, Fred VanVleet in the first half really step up. TD hit some shots, different guys in the half court. So I think that's a big thing, Riker. But the chat, I'm scanning the chat because some people don't know if this is like actually live or pre-recorded live, but the chat seems really positive, and we really appreciate the positivity. And if you're hyped about this Toronto Raptors team, if you liked how they played, definitely creep into the like section, as we've been calling it, and like this video. It really helps us out. And we're also on the road to 20K subscribers. So we're speeding down that highway, Riker. People have been really hitting the subscribe button, getting in the like section. So shout out to everyone in the stream, and obviously we'll be incorporating that more as the video goes along, but definitely getting there.
This is our strong call to action, to like the video. Again, we've been calling for it, and ever since, the Raptors have been doing better. We're one game above 500. And we've had the opportunity now to jump on the Sixers Mania podcast. I forgot what the name of it was the last time we recorded, when we had the L against the 76ers. We participated in their podcast during the first quarter, and I said it's pretty funny because at the beginning of the season, it completely dropped off for the Raptors. It went really well for the 76ers. Now things are starting to even out, and I think that their expectations of the Raptors is a lot lower than, maybe what the Raptors actually delivered on again, which is what I love to see, because this is one of the true rivalries that that have emerged for the Raptors. So, Ben, this is just a fun one. I hope that we see them again come playoff time, because I just love to see Joel Embiid cry whenever he loses, and I don't want to be too mean, but it's a very memeable series. There's a lot of true memes that happen in this one. But the one thing I do want to talk about before we swing it to the segments, and maybe this is a little bit overstated. People don't love that I bring up plus minus, but Ben, Norman Powell, he was the only guy that was deep into the minus of this game. We are used to him putting up 20 pieces, 25 pieces. Struggled a little bit, 27% from the field, only 11 points. What happened to Norman this game?
Honestly, I'm going to keep it real. I don't think it was big on Norman Powell. Yes, he missed a couple shots. He had some drives to the basket that were in and out, missed a couple of his open looks that he usually has been making during the stretch, but I think a big part of it was Nick Nurse didn't really play him in the moments where the Raptors made runs, and he wasn't really on the court. I think there'd be a lot of correlation between guys when they're plus minus and their plus minus as being on the court with Chris Boucher, who was knocking those shots down, has the highest plus minus in this game. So I'm not going to read too much into that. I think the plus minus stat is really something you look at over the course of a larger sample size. But again, Norman Powell definitely struggled tonight, but I don't think he made that bad of decisions. Just an off night for a guy that's been on fire. as of late. So shout out Norman Powell. I like that he stayed confident, kept shooting, because sometimes we'd see Norman Powell just, when he'd be cold, he'd force up bad shots and he'd run to the rim and he'd throw it off the backboard. And we all remember Norman Powell's lows for this team. So it's nice to see he's still making good decisions while he was out there. And I was surprised he didn't get that much run, because to close the second half, he had an and one. He made a couple of nice takes, but again, the Raptors had other guys rolling, so it didn't really matter in this game.
Yeah, when you have Terrence Davis coming in, giving you amazing minutes, Chris Boucher coming in, and like you said at the beginning, looking like Steph Curry, you're going to just go with the team that's doing the best for you, especially when they're the guys that both times basically brought the Raptors out of this rut. I see you glancing at the comments, Ben, but we'll incorporate the comments section now once we start going into the segments. So let's swing it right into the spicy Pele of the day.
Yeah, let's swing it into those segments, Riker. Tonight, the spicy Pele of the day, and we can go to a lot from this game tonight. One of them obviously has to be Chris Boucher's ridiculous block over Joel Embiid. The Sixers were just attacking the rim, and they, with the aid of referees, knowing that they'll just go in and for sure be called for a foul, Boucher said, you know what, I'm not going to make any contact. I'm just going to get a clean swat on Joel Embiid, and he got a really vicious block, which is really nice to see, because there's probably maybe 100-pound, 150-pound weight difference between those two guys. So Boucher just coming out and blocking one of the biggest guys in the league. That's always exciting to see. But there's a lot of plays. You mentioned Fred VanVleet's crazy bank three to tip off one of the best runs of the season. Do you have any more in mind, Riker?
There was a lot of good dunks in this game. But Ben, this is just another one where you defeat a top team, the top team in the East, and any play just has that much more sort of energy to it. It gets the excitement up. Whereas when you're beating down on a sub 500 team, it's just there's not the same hype around those types of plays. So Ben, we've swept the Milwaukee Bucks. We're tied the series now against the 76ers. Finally above 500, a game above 500. Your prediction that the Raptors could be the second
I said
seed
2 seed.
It's not looking as crazy anymore.
I said 2 seed. Everyone was roasting. We had I got the tape. I got I'm bringing the receipts, because this whole season when the Raptors were down 2-8 to start off the year, you can find videos of me saying we're gonna be the 2 seed. So I got the receipts. I want an apology from everyone in the comments section calling me delusional and all these sorts of things. Obviously, it hasn't happened yet, and we're still very early into this year, but definitely the Raptors are looking up, and it's nice to get big wins against the Sixers. But not all plays can be the spicy Pele of the day, and some can make you just say, oh, geez. And there's one oh, geez, right? You're getting those flashbacks whenever you see Danny Green on the court. And certainly, Danny Green should get a lot of credit as a Toronto Raptors champion, our starting two-guard, and all these sorts of things. But certainly, he had his low moments for the Raptors, especially in the playoffs, especially in some big games. And tonight, especially in that fourth quarter, he made a couple plays where, you envision him back on the Toronto Raptors. He threw the ball just completely to Terrence Davis out of nowhere. There wasn't really a defender guarding him. He just passed it straight to Terrence Davis. Maybe he was thinking he was still on the Toronto Raptors. He missed a lot of open clutch threes, and then he got fouled out with 6 minutes to go. Because Danny Green, I'll pull up his stats real quick now. He didn't have a horrific game. He went 3 for 6 from the three-point line, 9 points, 5 steals, played really good defense, but you as an opposing team, right, you're supposed to get the payoff of Danny Green being on the court in the fourth quarter, right? That's when he does his choking and these sorts of things. But he got fouled out, Riker, and wasn't been able to do those things down the stretch. I'm kind of flaming Danny Green right here, but he got fouled out right as he was making those OGs plays. So that's my OGs. Do you have any others in mind?
Keep the flames going, Ben, and swing it into the DeMarre Carroll Gold Star for worst performance. This one, it's going to basically every 76ers player. I already had the Walmart hat out at the beginning, because that's for Joel Embiid, who only shot 30% from the field. He only took 3 threes, so they were able to shut him down in the paint, inside the perimeter tonight, which is great against the guy who's been, I think he's the number 2 in the MVP leaderboard this year, Ben. And then we saw the Tobias Harris of the last time the Raptors played the 76ers in the playoff series. That version of Toby, 1 for 9 from 3. We saw Shake Milton have 27% or 28%. All of the 76ers were just clamped tonight, Ben, and it was against a small ball lineup, which is amazing to see. That gives me a lot of confidence in the Raptors moving forward.
And this was the big test. The two teams that we've been talking about with this small ball unit, Riker, was the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. Because the Milwaukee Bucks obviously aren't necessarily big. They bring a different strategy to the game, but a guy that can really slash, and we saw a lot of value in a Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, and be able to clog up the paint against a Giannis Antetokounmpo, and him being able to kick out to threes. But obviously, we'll see what happens in the playoffs. Obviously, it's tough to project regular season games to there, but certainly was effective in those two games against the Bucks. And now we got to test it against, as you mentioned, an MVP leader, a center, one of the biggest guys in the league. And this small ball unit, Riker, really just did its job in clogging up the paint. And I think this wasn't the Sixers choking. This wasn't a game. Obviously, Tobias Harris, that's what he does against the Raptors, so you can't control for that. But Joel Embiid, for everything he did, he still was really aggressive. I thought he made the right plays against the defense that went up against, but it was just too good. And you got to give a lot of credit to Aaron Baines there, because even though he's not a part of the small ball unit, but he was able to come in off the bench and do these sorts of things, be an energy piece. We call him the insurance pylon, right? And it's you got the triangle going there, right? But it's good for him to be able to come in and play that role and give a different look for this team. But this roster with the help defense, and they double, so whenever the players face up, it's man-to-man coverage, but as soon as they get into their move, the help defense comes, and that's really difficult if you're not a great passer to deal with. And obviously Joel Embiid, he's a phenomenal player, but he's not known for his playmaking. So that's an area where you can get steals, where you can get them to turn over, forcing a bad shot. So Nick Nurse, give credit to Nick Nurse, give credit to the whole collective defense of the Toronto Raptors. And yeah, and they did a good job on Simmons. I think Simmons played one of his best games I've ever seen him play tonight in terms of finishing, shooting free throws and stuff. So likely you're not going to get that style of game from him night in, night out basis. So I'm really encouraged about this game. It's going to be exciting to see what happens in the next one, Riker. But I think we have to swing it into the final segment, Riker.
Make sure you mute it. We didn't have time to change the audio yet, so you're getting a special version of the audio.
People were calling for it earlier, and be ready, guys.
Beep, 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 beep. Woo. Woo.
That's right. The final alarm has gone off, and we want to hear your guys' takes in the in the live chat. We're a little bit behind, so obviously we'll read through a couple here. But people want the horn changed, so we changed it up for this podcast. But let's see what the chat is saying, right? Because I think they're just hearing it now. If you're spamming the chat, don't spam. Just leave your comments. But people were saying they like the small ball unit, and we talked about that a lot in this game. The small ball didn't work, yes, but Aaron Baines coming off the bench, that's a part of it. There's 100 of all. Yep, subscribe. People are plugging that. Riker, do you have the chat pulled up as well?
I should open it up, actually. That's a good point.
Bembry and Davis play really well together, that's for sure. Bembry does a really good job at running the fast break, and honestly, we haven't given a lot of shout-out, a lot of credit to Bembry. We haven't talked about him a lot because obviously he's not necessarily a big name, but he's really come in and played a solid role for this Toronto Raptors team.
Ben, almost all of Bembry's field goals are dunks.
Yep.
He has the fastest ups on the team. He jumps from 2 feet. He just goes up. He's going to finish with a dunk. He is sneaky athletic. I really love Bembry's game.
Yeah, no, he is remarkable. Him and Terrence Davis. TD is looking a lot more confident, just coming in, dunking, shooting threes, doing all those sorts of things. So that's always really exciting. But
also shout out, we have 500 people in the watching this live right now. I think that's our biggest one. So again, for anybody new, get into the like section. We have to plug it. It's helping our algorithm, helping more people view the channel. So appreciate that big time. But again, it's leading into this positive cycle of the Raptors winning games. Then what's the next game? Let's just really quick before we look back at the comment section. What do you predict for the next game against the 76ers? Are they going to switch it up at all?
I think we'll see a bigger game from Norman Powell in the next one. I think we'll see guys step up. And the Raptors, I saw a meme talking about Mike Budenholzer just being shocked, right? Like that face, and it's him questioning how Nick Nurse can run different plays on back-to-back games. And I think Nick Nurse will bring that approach to this game here. But people talked about, people are bringing up in the chat Fred VanVleet and his defense. Obviously, Ben Simmons has gotten a lot of talk and a lot of speculation about potentially being Defensive Player in the Year. And obviously, he's a point guard for this team. So, Fred VanVleet, we're making the all-defense case for him right now. So, Ryker, who would you take all-defense, Simmons or Fred VanVleet right now?
That's such a tough one. Obviously, the bias is going to sway towards Fred VanVleet, but Ben Simmons has just such a long, physical, athletic body. He can obviously defend any position much better, but then you look at the highlights of Fred VanVleet stripping the ball from Giannis, stripping the ball from Joel Embiid, like having his way against bigs when he's tasked with being down there as sort of the last line of help defense, and he's really done a fantastic job. So I don't think you can discredit the work that Fred VanVleet did in spite of being only 6 foot tall. Like, I think that just makes it even better the case that he should be the first NBA guy if it came down between the two of them, Ben. And I'm seeing Kyle Lowry in the comment section saying Boucher equals KD. Obviously, he doesn't have the handles yet, but if he develops that over the next couple of seasons, then he could be a scary dude because his confidence it's way up there.
Yeah, and Ryker, that's a real Kyle Lowry. It's not a fake Kyle Lowry. It's a real Kyle Lowry. But someone asked Chris Boucher, 6th man of the year. Do you think that's possible? Most improved player? I think that they're both possible. People have brought up Jordan Clarkson, and I think he'd be the competition for 6th man of the year right now, but certainly Boucher has thrown his name in the hat, being a guy that could certainly be most improved. I think that's the route he could potentially take, because the leap he took from last season, especially when you look at that 3-point percentage, what he's doing, and obviously he has a bigger role, more minutes, but I think most improved could certainly be something to look at. People are bringing up coaches right now. Should Budenholzer be fired? Yes, no.
Budenholzer?
Yeah, you got brought up, and there's a Doc question. I just want a rapid fire answer.
Okay, Budenholzer, yes. If they lose again in the playoffs, Doc?
Yeah, they say Doc
he shouldn't
is
be fired after one season.
And he's been good. The Sixers have been good. I don't know what that takes.
We laid into the Sixers Mania podcast to say it makes no sense if you have the most prolific scoring big in the NBA right now. Argument could be there for Jokic, whose game is maybe a little bit more all around than Embiid, but obviously on the interior, Embiid's the guy. And then you have a point guard that can't shoot the three. That makes no sense. You'd have a better time with a guy like Kyle Lowry at the point guard. So I think that'd be the next step for them.
Yeah, and people are saying they're bringing up Kyle Lowry. I'm not sure if they're going at the Kyle Lowry for being active in the chat or what all the comments are directed at, but I saw a stat today, and it's going to go to 15-0 in the last 15 games. The Raptors have not had Kyle Lowry. I think it was TSN. I think Blake Murphy might have tweeted it. Give the credit to where I saw it on Twitter. I think it's Blake Murphy, but I'm not 100% sure. But 15-0 in the last 15 games without Kyle Lowry. Is this a trend? Is this just a coincidence? Because the Raptors, I think a part of it is just that Norman Powell is guaranteed to start when Kyle Lowry's out, but now I think with even Lowry back in the lineup, Norm will be starting, so I think that's the real connection to that. But does this mean we should trade Lowry, put him to the bench, as you said, or because I think the small ball unit with Lowry is just that much more effective?
Yeah, I'd like to put him to the bench just to see, but I don't think trading is the right option when he's a true closer for this team. Right, you look at the last 2 minutes of this game. There was no scoring. The Raptors managed to hold on. You put Lowry up there, maybe he would have hit a dagger three to put it away, make the gap even wider. So I'd still think Kyle Lowry is extraordinarily valuable, especially come playoff time.
Yeah, and Lowry's just a beast. Lowry, as we said, is the closer. Look at what he did in the Brooklyn Nets game.
Talking about the hat, but let's finish this off. Sell the hat. Hat. Boom.
We got some big news coming. We won't tease it right now, but big stuff coming with some merch, some Walmart hat stuff. So definitely be excited. Be looking. Be in the chat. You gotta stay subscribed if you want to get in on the Walmart hat stuff. But I don't know. You guys are the best for making this far. We really appreciate everyone being in the chat, doing all these sorts of things. If you made it this far, check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Check out the website, raptorsdigest.ca. Lots of cool articles being posted up over there. The TikTok, that's getting revamped now. We're in the works of figuring it out if we can break the shadow ban or just start raw, start fresh with a new account. So that should be figured out in the next couple days. But yeah, you guys are the best. Riker, do you have any last words?
Like section. No, we'll leave it at that. Cheers to everyone. This has been really fun. Appreciate the viewership. And I expect this. I think it's going to keep growing now as the Raptors hopefully keep winning. So,
yep.
Cheers.